Well, ho, 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 folks, and welcome to the Christmas edition of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm so excited to be here for episode 547. That's a Christmas surprise. We're going to be talking to Sky Matsuhashi in just a moment here on the Chats edition of the podcast. I also want to tell you that we have a Forums edition every week, just talking strategy. I'm your host, Jim Reid, Bluffsterini in the home game, and at RecPoker Jim on Twitter. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends here on the podcast every Monday night. You can join us for free almost every week. We're not recording live here on Christmas Day, but most Mondays at 7:30 Eastern, you can come join us on YouTube for free and win a prize just for showing up. Before we start talking to Sky, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, just an hour north of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. If you want to find out more about them, you can go to runaces.com. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support from our sponsors and also from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $15 a month. I just want to take a second to shout out a couple premium members in particular. Michael Babker, if you were listening last week, happy birthday, but happy birthday again, sir, because I know your birthday happened to fall between two episodes, and we are so grateful for all the help that you are providing us. Thanks for being so generous with your time and efforts. I also want to congratulate Keith Brandt. Happy retirement, sir. You have made it. You are on the other side. Keith has some great plans for his own life in poker and rec poker in 2024, now that he is free of the shackles of modern consumerism. So Keith, congratulations again, and welcome to this next chapter in your lives. Our premium members, look, they have fun. We like talking poker with our friends. We like getting better together, studying together. So for less than 50 cents a day, come connect over Zoom with other fun, encouraging poker players. We're all trying to get better together. And if 50 cents a day is too much, that's fine. Sign up for a free Rec Poker account, because that's where it all starts, and all it takes to join is an email address and a smile. But if you do want to go premium, I encourage you during the month of December, you've still got a couple days to use the code NICE at checkout as part of our Naughty or Nice sale. So if you've been a nice boy or girl this year, you can get your first month at Rec Poker for only $1 by using the code NICE at checkout. Or if you've been naughty, you can see what happens if you enter the word naughty as a code at checkout too, but we'll never know. So I'm just one person. They let me host the show on Mondays, but I depend on the support and contributions of our RECing Crew. This is the group of wizards that make all the magic happen here at Rec Poker. If you want to find out more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew. But you're also going to meet one of the members here tonight, our very own Joseph Wills. Joseph, say hi to Rec Poker Nation and tell them where they can find you.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm Joseph Wills. I am hockey_poker on the Twitter Xverse, and check out my Be a Better Fish series on the Rec Poker website.
Thank you, Joseph. Your contributions are invaluable, and it's great to have you here on the team. I had a great time hanging out with you and some of our mutual friends at the Poker Oasis down in Las Vegas recently. You guys run a fantastic home game. So way to go there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was, wasn't it? Speaking a lot of fun, we're welcoming the one and only Sky Matsuhashi to the show today. Sky, you run the Poker Forge, the Smart Poker Study podcast. You're such a prolific content creator. You've got so much amazing training material available on YouTube for free for recreational players to come and take their game to the next level. You've been a friend of the show for a long time, someone that I've enjoyed working with and looking up to in the poker world for years. Thanks for coming back on the Rec Poker podcast, and a sincere Merry Christmas to you and your family, sir.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you so much for having me back here.
Now, we talk about a lot of different things on the show. Now that we're in the holiday spirit and we're kind of looking ahead, we thought that one thing we could talk to you about would be setting some goals. You're very interested in active study, meticulous record keeping, goal setting, but not just any goals, but the right kind of goals. I think as poker players, some of us, especially some of us recreational players, kind of think of it as a game we can just kind of show up and play and that we're magically going to do well. That's not really true. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the value of goals, the importance of goals, and a couple of goals that you're setting for yourself this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I love making goals. They have to be short-term goals. Everybody, with the New Year's coming up, brand new 2024, right around the corner. Everybody makes resolutions, and they're the year-long resolutions, but they're kind of like namby-pamby resolutions. I'm going to get fit, I'm going to read, I'm going to learn Spanish, whatever that goal is. Those kinds of goals aren't specific enough to really get you to take action to do the things you need to do. As everybody knows, when you make a goal to get fit in 2024, you're going to see the gym is full of people for the first 2 to 3 weeks, and then slowly starts to taper off. And by mid-February, you're the only one in there, right? And I really believe it's because people aren't setting goals that like push them, propel them into action to improve their quality of life. And for us, of course, we're all poker players here. We want to improve our results and our poker play in the next year, 2024. It's a really good thing. And then so I have something, and I learned this, I can't remember from where, but I have what are called SMART goals, and it works with Smart Poker Study, right? SMART is an acronym, SMART, specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. Now, the first one, specific, that means your goal is clear. It sets you on a trajectory, on a path. There's no vagueness to the goal at all. Measurable means it's trackable. And we'll get to some examples of this stuff in just a little bit. Jim, I also want to know if you have any SMART goals for 2024. We'll get to that soon. Actionable is the A, and that means you can take action with it. It's not just, I want to be fit in 2024. We'll get to some examples potentially of actionable goals. Now, relevant means it means something to you, like achieving that goal is going to potentially change your life or just make things better in your life. That's relevant. And then time bound means there's some kind of a deadline. And for me, I do not like long-term goals. I've never achieved a year-long goal. That has never happened. 1 day goals, 1 week goals, 1 month goals I can do, not year-long goals, at least for me. And then so a couple of examples that I'll give of goals are just short-term, either 1 week at a time or maybe like all of January kind of a thing. Yep. And then so Jim, do you have any experience with making SMART goals for yourself?
I do. I've had goals that I've met when it comes to like weight loss or volume as a poker player. I think it, like you said, sort of it's one thing. It's very important that the goals be something that you can control and not just something that you're hoping for. I don't have a lot of goals myself for 2024 when it comes to poker. I want to play live poker at least once every month. That's a goal that I have. That seems like that's something I can control. We've got a few poker trips lined up, including one to Running Aces in January that we'll have some more details for at the end of the show. But I'm trying to, like you say, sort of goals that I can control, things that I have some control over.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and to be more specific with that live poker goal, is it poker tournament or poker cash games?
I haven't made that more specific because where I live, I just can't always find live games, and I might have to settle for one or the other. But I don't want more than a month to go by without me knocking some rust off just the physical mechanics of being at a live poker table, handling chips, handling cards, sizing up opponents. Because I think it's one of those things that if you don't use that muscle, you kind of lose it a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm just so sick of coming back after like 2 or 3 months of just playing online or just working on strategy content, but not playing live, and having to knock that rust off and having to like reestablish my sense of what does this behavior mean, or even, it sounds silly, but even stuff like getting excited when I get dealt a big hand, in the first orbit. If it's been if it's been a few months, like my response is going to be, I'm going to be more stimulated. I'm going to be more flushed. My pulse is going to race a little more. And
the observant players might notice and pick up a tell.
Right, exactly. So that's what I could control was getting that live action in once a month. And I think that's something I can hit. Sky, I had a question. So you talk about, how difficult it is to set long-term goals. What about like breaking those down into a series of short-term goals that are sort of like a work back to that? Have you had some success with that? And how can we kind of approach, I guess it's very important to know what it takes each step along the way to meet those long-term goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what you want to do is think about your long-term dream for one entire year. Let's imagine for poker. And so actually we can get into my very first goal. my own goal for 2020. I'll say what the SMART goal is first, and then I'll dive into why that is my goal. My SMART goal is I will play 10,000 hands per month in order to play 100,000 hands in 2024. So that's my overall goal. I want to get that 100,000 hands in. But I know if I just say I'm going to play 100,000 hands in 2024, it's not going to work. It's not at all. So the more specific goal is I will play 10,000 hands per month. That's doable. I'm on track this month to do it. I did it last month. And then so it's doable. And then if you want it even broken down more, I also have it broken down more. It takes me about 35 hours at 4 tables to get to 10,000 hands, which means per week, at 4 weeks on average per month, I need to be playing roughly 9 hours per week. So in order to get to the 100,000 for the year, I want to do 10,000 per month, but then I also need to do, if it's 9 hours, roughly 2,500 per week, right?
Yes.
And so that's like ultimately, if I want to look at it at the nitty gritty, very small, 25 hours per week. I'm sorry, 2,500 hands, 9 hours per week is the goal right there.
Yeah, and I like
so start big and just work your way down. Think logically, how can I progress to that big thing?
Yeah, and I like that you're giving yourself some grace there. Like you're giving yourself some buffer too, because we're all going to have that 1 week or that month where we don't get to play as much as we want. And so it's not realistic to expect ourselves to have like, okay, I need to play 90 minutes every single day. And if I don't, then I'm not going to meet my goal. You know, you're kind of sabotaging yourself when you do that.
You're right.
So
you got to look forward to what the hiccups could be. And I already know in June of this year, my family and I were going to go to Japan for an entire month. And so I won't be playing. Yeah, it's going to be a fun vacation, but I won't be playing poker at all for that month. So I don't want to set 120,000 hand goal. I don't want to set 110 either. Like give myself a little buffer, 1 extra month on top of that June right there.
That's awesome. Joseph, I'd love to know if you have any goals for 2024 or if you have any questions for Sky about goal setting or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, as an aspiring poker player, I'm also a runner, and I have a marathon coming up in April. So I've been training for that, getting back into it. And like you said, Sky, it's the little things. You know, I don't just go out and run 20 miles the first week. You know, you do it in little steps, you know, 3 miles here, then increase it. And, you know, you have to look at it, like you said, kind of the progression to get up to that goal that you want.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to making SMART goals, there's a specific formula that I like to have. It's, I will do something in order to achieve something. So for you, Joseph, I mean, I don't know what your goal could be, but it could be, I will run 5 miles this week, 6 miles next week, yada, 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 so that I can run the full marathon in April or whatever that month was that you said. Like, have you set specific enough goals like that on a weekly to like gradually get yourself up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to also, you know, kind of have a run coach, you know, even if it's just kind of a formulaic, you know, template email each week, but it does get you on track and you know what you're supposed to do in the week, you know, to keep yourself going. So yeah, having a coach is good. And it also applies to poker.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one thing I was kind of interested about. I find when I've had the most success with these goals, because we need goals to motivate us to do things we wouldn't do otherwise. You know, like if we were naturally drawn towards working out or losing weight or putting volume in or whatever it is, we wouldn't need to set these kind of goals for ourselves in the same way. So like accountability is a big part of it. Like when I was quitting smoking, you know, one of the times I was quitting smoking in my 20s, one of my roommates was also trying to quit smoking, and we just had a rule that if we had a cigarette, if one of us saw the other one smoking a cigarette, we could punch them in the arm as hard as we could.
There you go.
So there was like some accountability there. We also he and I also had an arrangement where we would meet up at the gym in the mornings. And if we didn't meet up at the gym in the morning, you know, one of us had to buy the other person some beer that weekend or something like that. So it's like this kind of negative reinforcement for not meeting your goals. I think when it comes to poker, that's one of the best things about having a coach is that there's someone that you kind of don't want to let down. And that might allow you to find the discipline or the motivation to do the thing that you've been putting off. When it comes to like setting goals for yourself, how can we introduce some of that accountability, or that, I mean, because we're really ultimately only accountable for ourselves, to ourselves. And I think, if you want to find out what's important to someone, find out how they spend their time, right?
Yes.
So how can we introduce a level of accountability to ourselves when it comes to goal setting?
So most of us are involved in some kind of poker Discord group, or we have poker friends or whatever it is. What you want to do is set your goal, make it smart, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound, and then let the people around you who potentially care about your success, whether it's family or friends in your poker Discord group, or your home excuse me, your home game buddies, right? Excuse me. Let them know, and then give them monthly or weekly or monthly progress reports, right? Like, the goal is, when you create your goal, you're also using that accountability. So you have to set yourself up for success by using your friends to help keep you accountable. So you got to tell them about your goal. You have a goal of playing 9 hours per week. How many hours did you play this week? Only 8. Let them know that you're 1 hour behind. The next week, when you hit 12, I made it up and then some, like keep informing them. And that's the easiest way to utilize accountability. Just the people around you who are potentially invested in your success, let them know, and ask them for their help too. You can always say, hey guys, every Sunday I want to report to you the number of hours I played this past week, and the number of hands I put in. So if I don't let you know, send me a text, and help keep me accountable.
Yeah, and I think also just like enjoy the victories and the successes along the way too, right? Like, we think about the negative aspects of not meeting goals, but one of the things that's nice about this, setting smart goals and being strategic about this is it's a great feeling to be able to cross something off a list, like that, especially something that you feel like is an achievement of your own. So really, reward yourself with that pride, and know that you're, one step closer to meeting your end goal when you do it. So no,
and
I think
setting
that's
up
great.
rewards that you can get for yourself. Like, let's imagine you love, I don't know, you love collecting 4K movies on disc, right? And then so every time you achieve your goal for that week or that month, that's your opportunity to reward yourself, and you buy the new Starship Troopers movie that just came out on 4K, or whatever that thing is that you want. Set it as a goal to help you, to spur you to achievement.
Yep, I love it. Now you've got a great deal coming up. This is a sale that's really only open to RecPoker members. This is going to run from December 29th to January 2nd. And folks are going to get some exclusive content from you. They're also going to get a great discount on joining the Poker Forge. You're known, I think, to a lot of our members as being like the Poker Tracker 4 guy. You know how to set up all these fantastic programs and filters and reports, and you do a lot of work specifically with like low to mid stakes online cash play. Tell our listeners a little bit about the offer that's going to be available this week. In fact, starting today, when this podcast comes out, you've got about 4 days to lock this in. And then we'll talk a little bit about Poker Tracker 4 and how people can get the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the deal for the New Year's for the Poker Forge is you get your first month for $24 because it's 2024. And then each month after that is $40. But you get that nice discount on the very first month. The normal price is $69. So you get in. And when you use the link that Jim's going to give you, on the show notes page for this episode and everything, you actually support the RecPoker podcast as well, and the RecPoker website. And you support Jim and everybody else, the RECing Crew. So that's a really good thing. But then just something special for just RecPoker members, when you join during this New Year's deal, you're going to get a free copy of my Get More from Poker Tracker 4 course. It's 25 videos, over 7 hours of content, tons of included downloads, but I give you instruction on how to get the most, hence the name, from Poker Tracker 4. When it comes to filtering, using reports, checking out the graphs, reviewing hands, everything Poker Tracker 4 I cover right there. And you're going to really love that course. And it's a great primer to really help you just to get into the study mood, the study habit. That course is going to have you, I have a video, 25 videos, like I said, but one video might be 4 minutes long. At the end of the video, after I demonstrate something, I give you an action step, and you got to go into your database and do it for yourself. So you're not just watching me go through my numbers. You're going to be forcing yourself to take action and improve your own Poker Tracker 4 usage. And at the same time, you're going to be reviewing hands, catching your mistakes, learning different strategies. So
that's awesome. First of all, I love that it's $24 in 2024. That's great. $69 every month regularly. Nice. And this is a great discount for RecPoker members. And yes, as you say, if people use the link, I will put it in the show notes today. We're also going to send out a newsletter this week to remind people about the great offer. It does help us out here at RecPoker. So if you're on the fence about giving the Poker Forge a try and working more closely with Sky, this is a great time to take advantage of this deal. Do it for a discount and help us out along the way. I thought the timing was perfect for this, talking about goals and, Poker Tracker 4 is such an important part of any poker player's metagame and their own study. Because one problem with goal setting is that we are all very unreliable narrators for actual results and activities. If we're just sort of like taking notes anecdotally, or kind of just like keeping track in our mind of how we're doing in our poker game, we're going to make bad goals because we have bad data and we can't track our results very well. Poker Tracker, in my opinion, is just the best program in the world for that period. And if folks don't own Poker Tracker, you can go to rec.poker/discount. Rec.poker/resources, and you can find a link to buy Poker Tracker. I think it's a one-time purchase for $99, and you'll use it for the rest of your life. It's the best investment you can make in your poker game, if you play online, obviously. So it's so important that we get to kind of review actual data. What are some of the most important things that we're going to be looking at, just like from a very big picture point of view? If someone's relatively new to Poker Tracker and they want to just know, like, how have I been doing? What are the key metrics or stats or graphs that they should be looking at to sort of give them an objective look at their results in this game of poker?
Yeah. So what you want to do is go to the statistics tab first, because those statistics, just like when you're using a HUD and you look at your opponent's VPIP, PFR, 3-bet, C-bet, fold to C-bet, those numbers tell you your opponent's tendencies. Your own statistics tell yourself, but also tell your opponent your tendencies, and they can so easily exploit your numbers. So when you're looking at your stats and just the default report in Poker Tracker 4, tons of information for you. One of the things I would look at right away is call pre-flop 2-bet. That's how often you call, but specifically look at it in the blinds. I might ask you, hey Jim, how often do you call in the small blind? Give me a percentage. What do you think it is?
For me, it's probably about like 8%. I'm pretty snug in the small blind. Yeah.
Good. 8%. But you don't know, I don't know how many times I've had a student say 8-10% maybe, and then we look at their Poker Tracker 4 calling in the small blind and it's 24%.
Right.
Oh my gosh, they're calling a quarter of that. They don't think they're doing it. Like you said, we're unreliable narrators, right? But Poker Tracker 4 gives you the unvarnished actual numbers. These are your tendencies. You're defending 24% of the time in the worst possible position. You're calling with a quarter hands. And then so like that's where you want to start. Just look at the statistics and look at where. So imagine those statistics that you see on the screen. Imagine they're one of your opponent's HUD numbers. If you saw that number and you automatically know, oh my gosh, I know exactly how to exploit that guy with that statistic. That is one of your leaks. If you look at your number and you see, oh my gosh, I fold the C bets on the flop 84%. Well, if your opponents see that, they're just going to bluff you every single flop, regardless of what their hand is, what your position is, what the flop cards are, right? So that's the first thing you want to do. Look for your own easy exploits players can use against you. And then the second thing would be you want to specifically look at situations that you get into most of the time. If you pre-flop raise more than you call, which is good, you want to be more aggressive than you are passive, then filter for making the raise first in, and then look at your win rates right there. If you're losing, you've got some work. Maybe you're raising too much, maybe you're giving up post flop, but that's the start. Look at those areas that you find yourself in most of the time, and then if you see an ugly loss, like you've lost $100 and your win rate is negative 400 big blinds per 100 hands, that's something you got to work on right there.
And I think, we can use Poker Tracker to also set some smaller goals for ourselves, like on a stat by stat basis. Like, for instance, you talk about calling, cold calling in the small blind. If you look at your number and be objective and look at the actual number, and let's say it is 20%. And you can say, okay, by the end of January, I want to be down to 8% or 6% or whatever that number is for you. And I'd encourage people to have an actual number in mind. Don't just say, I want to call less from the small blind. That's better than nothing. But think about, like, what are the range of hands that you'd actually like to be calling from the small blind? View that as a percentage and then try and meet that goal. That's something that then, you know, at the end of the month, you can filter your results to just look at the month of January and see, how did you do at that goal, comparing it to December to previous.
But that,
and you could,
so I
Yeah,
love
please.
that as a goal, but let's make it a SMART goal, right?
Okay.
Something measurable and trackable. Sure, you could see it go from 20 to 8, but how are you going to do that? What are the actions you're going to take? Are you just going to say, I'm going to fold more? That's too wishy-washy. It's not specific enough, right? So specifically, you want to go from 20 to 8 because you know that that's going to improve your results, because you're calling in the small blind, you're losing 300 big blinds per 100 hands. Yeah, you need to fix that. So a SMART goal could be, I will review 10 small blind calling and losing hands per day in order to learn when I need to fold more often. And so in a full month, 30 days, that's 300 hands that you're reviewing. You can look at yesterday's hands, last month's, last year's hands. As long as you're reviewing calling and losing in the small blind, you're going to be working on those strategies, or you're going to be catching your mistakes, I should say, so that you can work to not make them in the future. And then we can pair that SMART goal of, reviewing 10 per day also with, if you're a Poker Forge member, you can make it a goal. I will complete the pre-flop hand selection course by the end of January with 1 video per day while I'm reviewing those 10 hands per day. So you're doing some studying outside of your database, but you're pairing that with your database work as well. You're going to be doing double duty to get that percentage down lower. But when you get that percentage down lower, you're going to be avoiding a lot of ugly spots. So you're going to increase those results and those win rates. So overall, like with those 2 SMART goals, you're going to be achieving your ultimate goal of being more profitable out of the small blind.
Perfect. That's a fantastic way to approach it. And I think, people don't appreciate the concept of opportunity cost when it comes to study time, especially for recreational players. We have jobs, we have families, some of us might even have other hobbies that we like to enjoy. I mean, to speak for yourself, I'm pretty much just working poker and sleep these days. But so like getting the most out of your study time is really important. So high value study is really important. Getting, if you can, like you say, if you can both review some of your own hands while also using those hands to complete like some worksheets or something like that, you're just kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and you're increasing the value of your study time, because your study time is finite. So you really do need to make good choices about how you use it.
And your study time is directed that way too. You're not just popping on YouTube. Oh, what's the first video from the first creator I'm subscribed to, and you're not watching Poker After Dark trying to gain some hints and some strategies about calling out of the small blind. No, you're specifically finding areas or finding training that targets your areas.
Yeah, and you talk about this a lot, because I think people get kind of lulled into the sense of, I can just put on a podcast while I'm driving, or I can just watch this live stream while I'm going to sleep. It's what am I trying to say?
It's very passive studying.
Passive study, and it's better than nothing, but it's really not as good as active study. Can you talk just a little bit about how can people just approach their study, or what are some things they can do while they're studying that will help them retain the knowledge and get the most out of it?
Yeah. So whatever you're doing, podcast, reading a book, reading an article, watching a video, take notes. So whip out your poker journal. Doesn't matter if it's physical, Evernote in your phone, Word document on your computer, whatever. Take notes. And the idea behind notes is record things that you want to take with you into the future. Because you're watching this 15-minute video right now. Next week, you're not going to remember the things on that video. I mean, you might remember a couple things, but in general, you're more likely to remember it if you take notes. And the great thing about the notes is, before you play your session tonight, you can review your notes. You don't have to watch the video again, just review the notes. Before your session tomorrow, review your notes, right? So note taking is the very first thing. The second thing is to take action. So in any video, the trainer, the coach is going to teach you some important strategies. Those strategies must be useful on the felt, or else he wouldn't be creating that thing to teach you anything. You need to be able to take those strategies and apply them in game. So create action steps for yourself. when it comes to calling out of the small blind, maybe the video that you watch says never call with like suited double gappers, like Jack 8. Don't call with that. There's no point. Queen 9. Don't call with those. I'm just giving a very random quick example right here.
Sure.
Well, the easy action step is, okay, you're going to write down all the suited gappers on a piece of paper. Every time it's in the small blind, you're going to auto click fold. You're not going to wait for the action to come to you. You see an open razor, Queen 9 suited, I'm going to call. No, you auto click fold when it's a suited double gapper or worse, triple gapper. You know what I mean? So everything you study, take notes, create an action step, and then play one or more sessions where you practice that action step.
I love it. And no one knows active study like Sky Matsuhashi. Sky, if folks do sign up for the Poker Forge this month, and I hope they do, it'd be, I mean, the material you put out there is phenomenal. I know you're always adding new stuff. You work harder than a lot of people in the poker industry. What would you advise new members like look at first, or how are they going to find, you know, a nice soft landing at the Poker Forge where they can really get started on taking their game to the next level?
Yeah, so for RecPoker members when they join, I would highly recommend you go to the very first tab. It's called Start Your Journey Here, and there's a tracker, Excel-based or Word-based tracker that you fill out with all your statistics and win rates from Poker Tracker 4. And I have a video there showing you how to find all your numbers. You fill that out and you're going to see right away, like what you were talking about, Jim. No unreliable narrator here. Poker Tracker 4 tells you exactly where your areas of where you're leaking money, you know. And so once you fill out that tracker, you're going to get a really good idea. Email me the tracker as well. I'll review it. I'll give you tips on where you can go in the Forge. But other than that, I have a course called the Quick Wins Game Plans course. 10 modules with 2 bonus modules. And that's all created to give you quick wins, to quickly boost your win rate, take you from negative to profitable or slightly profitable to more profitable right there. All the easiest things that you can do right now that a lot of people don't do. And they're the simplest things like table changing and targeting the fish and using pre-flop ranges. But people just boot up a system, or not boot up a system, boot up a game, so just start playing without thinking of what I can really do, what I can actively do, what I'm in control of that can improve my results right now. And so that course teaches you.
I love it. Thank you, Sky. So I think we're going to wrap this up with we've introduced a couple new segments at the end of the show since you were last on, Sky. I think this will be a lot of fun. So we're going to play Stake, Study, Stack. Now, you may remember as a child, there was a game where you'd be given 3 names and you had to choose one to marry, one to do something violent to, and one to spend a fun night together with. So in this game, I'm going to give you 3 names. You have to choose one to stake in a cash game or tournament, one to study with, and one to stack at the tables if you saw them across the feld from you. Okay.
Okay.
And you, as someone who owns and runs a training site, I thought I'd pick a few names from people that also run training sites in our Learning with Partners area here. So I'm going to give you Ryan LaPlante from Learn Pro Poker, Matt Berkey from Solve for Why, or Jonathan Little from pokercoaching.com. So you've got to stake one, study with one, and stack one. How do you play the game, Sky?
Matt Berkey is study.
Okay.
Ryan LaPlante stack. Yes, Ryan LaPlante stack, and then stake Jonathan Little.
There you go. All right. Thank you for playing.
Sure.
And then we're going to close the action. We call this segment Closing the Action. This is a speed round. So for this one, I'm just going to throw a bunch of really quick questions at you. And you have to give me an honest answer that is quickly delivered and short. And if you struggle or if you don't want to answer whatever, you can always say pass and we'll move on to the next question. Rapid fire. Okay. Ready? All right. We're going to start with an easy one. What's your favorite poker hand?
King 7 suited.
Ooh, good answer. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
A skill game with elements of gambling, obviously.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
The only one that comes to mind is tapping the fish tank. Making fun of recreational players, causing them to potentially leave the game because you're the jerk to them, you know?
Yeah, that's a good one. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes, it is.
Is Ace King a drawing hand?
Yes, it is.
Are you pro chop or no chop? I know you're mostly a cash player, but when it comes to tournaments,
I'm pro chop.
and
The
what
interesting
player?
thing about that, I'm sorry, real quick,
Yeah, no,
is that
please.
at the local card room I go to, when they're, they have the payouts, they write it on the board right there, top 10 people get paid. They put next to it the chop line. So like top 10 get paid the 10 places, but then the 9, when, next to the 9, all the players would get that. There's a point, and it's often like chopping at 3 or 4 when everybody makes more than second place.
Right.
And then so you got, yeah, sure, you could try to go for the win, but if there's 8 people left and everybody's making more or close to second place, let's just chop, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
also because they make you fill out a tax document at 700, most people chop at 680 or whatever that number is.
Yep, that's a common one. Great call. What player type are you?
Oh, tight aggressive. Although I've created a new term and I'm gonna do a podcast on it. Tactical aggressive.
Oh,
so it's still tag, but it's tactically aggressive.
Okay.
And I'm noodling on it. I'm figuring it out how, but yes, tactically aggressive is me.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that episode of the Smart Poker Study podcast sometime in 24, getting into the tactical side of things. All right. A few more in the speed round here. Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Lazy.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Oh, speed up.
What's one thing you're afraid of?
Appearing foolish.
Ooh, good one. Who is your poker nemesis?
Myself.
A great answer. Okay, last question. We're out of the speed round. You can take your time with this one. What is one thing that the poker world needs to do differently, Sky Matsuhashi? We like to put our guests on the spot a little bit here at the end.
Yeah. That's a tough.
I think this is called the blunder.
What was that?
I think this is called the blunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, where you're kind of tanking, you're thinking about it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's suspenseful.
Mm-hmm. So when you say the poker world needs to do differently, like my mind is, I work totally literally with everything and logically. And when you say needs to do differently in the poker world, the only thing that comes to mind isn't necessarily the poker world, but the overall world's reaction to poker. And it just needs to be legalized, online poker, just across the world. But that's not the poker world needing to do something. That's the outside world. I think they need to accept that, because it's something that's like, I don't know, considered just really bad when it's truly not. I mean, you can go overboard with poker and gamble your life away, but you can do that with the state lotto, right? You can do that when you go to Vegas. Like, and so trying to help people by limiting their options, but now sports betting is a thing that you can do online. It's the most dumb. It's such a dumb asinine thing that needs to be fixed. So
yeah, I agree. I think, and the fact that we didn't get poker in the door with the sports betting revolution over the last few years is a missed opportunity. Speaking of opportunity costs, I mean, boy, what a talk about blunders. That was a blunder for sure. Okay, well, good answer. Maybe there's some smart goals that the poker community can set that would allow that to happen one of these days down the road a little bit, because I'm with you. It feels like there's a missed opportunity, and definitely making poker legal around the world is something that the poker world needs to do. So I agree with you right there, 100%. All right, well, like I said, I'll put the link to the sale at the Poker Forge into the show notes here. Sky, if folks want to get more involved with you, you've got the YouTube channel, you've got the podcast, you've got a very active social media account. Like, where's the one place that you would encourage people to go and check you out for free, or make contact with you and say thanks for coming on the show, that kind of thing?
It would really be just my YouTube channel. Smart Poker Study is the name of it. Go there, watch a video, leave a comment on a video, give it a thumbs up. And I respond to, like, you'll look at the comments below any of my videos. 99% of the time I'm responding to comments there. So I really appreciate that. And if you want free training, just smartpokerstudy.com. That gives you links to everything I give out for free. And then if you want to get more involved with me one-on-one, potentially, thepokerforge.com.
Right on. And I can't recommend that Smart Poker Study YouTube channel enough. All my coaching clients get sent directly to Sky's 66 days of hand reading video. Sky, do you ever get sick of people telling you how amazing that video series is? Like,
no, I don't get sick of it. I'm happy. I'm happy. I love hearing it. I love it. I'm considering doing something again along those lines too.
Oh yeah. So. Yep. Very cool. And also I'll just say one more time, if you haven't looked at it already, go check out Sky's 66 Days of Hand Reading. It's a video series at the Smart Poker Study YouTube channel that everyone who considers themselves a serious poker player should check out at some point, even if you don't get all the way through all 66 days. But yeah, I do encourage it, and it's very valuable use of your time. No,
I've heard from a few people that said that they've gone through all 66, and it's probably few and far between. But yeah, I appreciate when I hear from those people.
Yeah, I've heard from a couple as well. And I would just say, even if you only dip a toe in, it's definitely worthwhile to sort of, learn how to study along with Sky for free. So it's a fantastic, offer. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sky. We're just going to close out the show. We have to thank our sponsors again, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. They've got a couple events coming up. From January 11th to 14th is the Big Stack Avalanche. That's their $500 entry tournament. There'll be a few different day one flights for that. You don't want to miss it. But what you really don't want to miss at Running Aces is Friday, January 19th and Saturday, January 20th, Rec Poker weekend at Running Aces. That's right, folks. We're going back. We're flying out, we're driving up, we're staying over, we're making a weekend of it. There's going to be a lot of folks from all over the country descending on Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino for January 19th and 20th. We're going to be doing a tournament series, a cash game, meetup game. We're going to do bomb pots. We're going to give away prizes. We might even have a trivia contest. We're going to raise some money for a local food bank. There's a lot of great stuff we're going to do. Eric Jin's flying in from California. I'm flying in from Toronto. We got people driving in from all over the state of Minnesota and its surrounding states. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to find out more about that, go to rec.poker/road trips or rec.poker/events, and you can see all the great stuff that's coming up in the new year. And so I guess I just want to say thank you to them. Thank you to Joseph Wills for participating in our conversation today and for all the fantastic work he does behind the scenes to make Rec Poker a better place. Thanks to Sky Matsuhashi, and let's set ourselves some SMART goals for 2024 and see if we can't make it an even better year than 2023. So thank you all so much. Thanks for joining us here on the show, and we'll see you next week on the Rec Poker Podcast. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a very happy holiday.